Ever felt like something invisible is holding you back? Today, we re-diving deep into the one thing that truly decides how far you go in life: your mind. It has 4 invisible layers, 4 powerful systems that dictate how you react to failure, handle fear, and rebuild after hitting rock bottom. This isn't just theory, it's real psychology. First, the psychology of fear. Why does your brain see failure as a threat instead of a chance to grow? Second, the emotional trap. How shame and regret can keep you completely stuck in place. Third, the mind-brain connection. The incredible link between your conscious thoughts and subconscious actions. And finally, reprogramming the mind. The practical steps to break free from old patterns and forge new mental strength. When you truly understand these layers, you stop being a victim of failure and start becoming the architect of your own success. Stick around, because this is where the real transformation begins. Fear. It's one of the oldest emotions your brain knows. Long before you ever learned to speak, before you learned right from wrong, your brain already knew how to be afraid. But here's what most people never realize. Fear was never your enemy. It was a teacher, a signal, not a death sentence. Fear evolved to keep you alive. Thousands of years ago, when our ancestors faced a wild animal or a dangerous storm, fear triggered an ancient survival system called the fight or flight response. In that instant, their bodies flooded with adrenaline, their hearts pounded, their pupils widened, preparing them to survive. That very same mechanism still lives inside you today. But the world has changed. The lion isn't hiding in the jungle anymore. It's hiding in your mind. Every time you think about starting something new, a business, chasing a dream, taking that risky but necessary step, your brain detects danger. It whispers, what if you fail? What if people laugh at you? What if you lose everything? That voice isn't a sign of weakness. It's your amygdala, the small almond-shaped part of your brain responsible for detecting threats. Here's the crazy part. It can tell the difference between a real tiger and an imagined failure. To your brain, both feel equally dangerous. So, it triggers the same stress chemicals, cortisol and adrenaline, pushing you to run, to hide, to stay safe. That's why fear feels so physical. Your palms sweat, your heart races, your stomach tightens into a knot. It's because your body thinks it's fighting for survival when in reality, you're only fighting for your dreams. Let's dig a little deeper into the science. When you experience a setback, say you lose a job, miss a big opportunity, or someone rejects your idea, your brain releases less dopamine, the chemical of reward and motivation. At the same time, the pain center of your brain, the anterior cingulate cortex, lights up. This is the exact same region that activates when you experience physical pain. That's why heartbreak, embarrassment, or rejection literally hurt. Your brain is wired to treat emotional pain as a physical danger. And here's the catch. Your mind remembers pain much longer and more vividly than it remembers pleasure. It desperately wants to make sure you never repeat that hurt again. So it builds walls, invisible barriers that keep you locked inside your comfort zone. That comfort zone feels safe, warm, and familiar. But it's the most dangerous place you can live, because inside those walls, nothing ever grows. The same walls that you think are protecting you are actually imprisoning you. Your brain thinks it's keeping you alive, but in reality, it's just keeping you unchanged. And that is the real reason most people never reach their full potential. It's not a lack of talent. It's not a lack of opportunity. It's fear, the oldest, most persuasive voice in the human mind. But I want you to remember this. Every single time you face that fear and move forward anyway, you are actively reprogramming your brain. You are teaching your mind that fear is not fatal. It's just feedback. You're building new neural pathways, new connections of courage and confidence. Fear weakens when you face it head on. It only grows when you feed it with avoidance. So the next time that voice of fear whispers, don't you dare try. I want you to look it straight in the eye and say, watch me. Because that is the exact moment you begin transforming fear from an enemy into your greatest source of energy. Now that you understand why your mind fears failure, it's time to uncover the next layer, the emotional trap that keeps so many of us stuck inside that fear. In the next part, we're going deeper into the emotional trap of failure, and more importantly, how you can escape it for good. Stick around, you won't want to miss this. When you fail, your brain feels pain, but your heart feels shame. And shame, my friends, is heavier than any defeat. It doesn't just say, "You failed," it whispers, "You are asterisk of failure." That single tiny shift in language from what happened to who you are is the very thing that traps millions of people in a state of emotional paralysis. In psychology, this is called internalization. It's when your mind takes an external event, like a setback, and twists it into a core part of your identity. Think about it. Instead of saying, "I lost that opportunity," you start telling yourself, "I'm not capable." Instead of admitting, "I made a mistake," you start believing I'm a mistake. Your brain is incredibly efficient at storing these moments in what we call emotional memory. Each failure reinforces a destructive pattern. First comes the pain, then the shame, and finally, the avoidance. The more this cycle repeats, the stronger it becomes, carving deeper and deeper pathways in your mind. This is why after facing repeated setbacks, so many of us simply stop trying. It's not because you're lazy. It's a recognized psychological state called learned helplessness. It's when your mind becomes so convinced that your efforts don't matter that you give up entirely. In fascinating but sobering experiments, researchers found that even animals who faced unavoidable failure eventually stopped trying to escape, even when an escape route was offered. It wasn't because they couldn't get out, it was because they had come to believe there was no point. We humans do the exact same thing. Every unhealed failure becomes a silent, subconscious rule that governs our lives. Why even bother trying? It's just not going to work out for me. When failure happens, it's a full-body experience. Your brain releases a flood of stress hormones like cortisol, preparing your body for emotional defense. You might go into denial, distract yourself, or just retreat from the world. Your ego, that fragile protector of your self-image, jumps in to say, "Hey, it wasn't my fault. The circumstances were against me." And for a brief moment, you feel a sense of relief. But then the guilt creeps back in, and that destructive loop of pain and shame starts all over again. Here's the secret, though. The problem isn't the failure itself. It never was. The problem is the meaning you attach to it. You're interpreting an event as a final verdict. You take a single data point and build an entire narrative around it. A story that sounds like this. "They laughed at me once, so they'll always laugh at me." Or, "I failed at that one business, which means I'll fail at them all." But here's the beautiful, empowering truth. Stories can be rewritten. Emotions aren't permanent fixtures. They are just chemical reactions. And these reactions fade and change when they are challenged by new experiences, new thoughts, and new actions.
So how do we begin to rewrite our story? It starts with one simple but profound step: awareness. The next time failure hits you, don't immediately rush to escape the feeling. Don't numb it, don't ignore it. Instead, just for a moment, sit with it.
Be brave enough to ask your mind, what am I actually afraid of right now? When you dig deep, you'll often find it's not the loss of the job, the money, or the opportunity that scares you most. It's the loss of identity. It's the fear of not being seen as worthy, as capable, as enough. The second step is separation. This is crucial. Say this with me and really let it sink in. You are not your failure. Say it again. You are not your failure. A failure is an event that happens in time. You are the observer of that event. It happened asterisk to asterisk you. It is not what is asterisk within asterisk you. By creating this space, you reclaim your power. The third step is transformation. Every emotion, even the painful ones, carries a powerful charge of energy. Your job is to learn how to redirect that energy. Instead of letting it fester and turn into bitterness or despair, use it. Let it fuel you. Right? Create, train, build something new. Let the very same fire that once threatened to burn you down now be the fire that forges you into something stronger. It's more resilient and more determined than you ever were before. Your emotions are powerful servants, but they are terrible masters. When you learn to control what a feeling means, you control what happens next. Pain can either push you down, or it can push you forward. Regret can either chain you to your past, or it can be the catalyst that changes your future. The difference lies in one simple choice. Do you react, or do you respond? Every failure writes two stories inside of you. One is a story of fear, and the other is a story of faith. Whichever story you choose to read, to believe, to tell yourself over and over again, that is the story that will become your reality. So please, stop rereading the chapter of pain. It's time to turn the page, because on the very next one, your true strength is waiting to be discovered. Now that you understand the emotional cage that can hold you captive, it's time to unlock the next level. We're going to explore the incredible connection between your conscious thoughts and the subconscious mind that shapes your entire life. You ready? Let's step into the mind-brain connection. Have you ever felt like your mind and your brain are two different things? You're not wrong. People often use these words interchangeably, but they are fundamentally different. Your brain is the hardware, this incredible physical organ made of billions of neurons. Your mind? That's the software, the thoughts, emotions, and beliefs that run on that hardware. The brain is matter. The mind is meaning. They are so deeply connected that one can literally shape the other. Every single thought you have rewires your brain, and every response from your brain changes the way you think. This powerful connection is called neuroplasticity, the science that proves you have the ability to reprogram yourself. For decades, scientists believed the brain was fixed after childhood, that who you were was set in stone. But modern research has completely changed our understanding. We now know that the brain evolves throughout our entire lives. Every new habit you form, every challenge you face, every failure you recover from, all of it builds new neural pathways. This means your story isn't stuck. You are not broken. You are under construction. So how does this connection actually work? Imagine your thoughts as tiny sparks. Every time you think a thought, your neurons fire, traveling between brain cells and forming a specific pattern. If you repeat that thought often enough, that pattern becomes permanent. Think I can't do this over and over, and your brain builds a well-worn road leading to that conclusion. But if you start thinking I can do this, your brain starts building a different road. Your thoughts are like footsteps in fresh snow. Walk the same path every day, and it becomes a clear trail. Keep walking a new path, and eventually, it becomes a highway. This is why changing your life always begins with changing your thoughts. It's not magic, it's mechanics. Thoughts are instructions, and the brain simply obeys what the mind believes. When you tell yourself, I'm not good enough, your brain will actively search for proof to make that true. But when you start telling yourself, I can grow from this, your brain begins looking for opportunities to confirm it. This is your reticular activating system, or RAS, at work. It's a filter in your brainstem that decides what gets your attention. If you constantly focus on failure, your RAS will show you more reasons to quit. If you focus on learning, it will highlight opportunities to grow. You're not just seeing reality, you're seeing your version of it. A version shaped entirely by what your mind chooses to believe. This is why two people can live the exact same life but tell completely different stories. One says I'm stuck, while the other says I'm learning. Same situation, different programming. Now, let's talk about the silent force driving most of your actions, your subconscious mind. Think of it as a vast storage system holding every memory, emotion, and belief you've ever had. It's responsible for nearly 95% of your daily behavior. You breathe, you walk, you worry, you react. All of it happens automatically thanks to your subconscious. This is why your conscious goals often lose the battle against old habits. You might say, I'm going to change today, but your subconscious whispers, but we've always been this way. Here's the crucial truth. The subconscious doesn't judge. It only repeats. It believes whatever you tell it most often. If you've spent years telling it, I'm not capable, that becomes its core operating system. But here's the good news. You can update it. By consistently telling it, I'm learning, I'm improving, I'm growing, you can slowly rewrite the code. You begin to rewire your emotional responses, your motivation, and even your deep-seated confidence. This is the essence of mental reprogramming, training your subconscious to work for you, not against you. Your brain provides the signals, but your mind gives them meaning. Together, they create your reality. Fear, for example, lives in the brain. It's a chemical reaction. But courage lives in the mind. It's an intentional choice. When your brain screams, stop, this is risky, your mind can whisper back, we've learned enough to try again. This is how you shift from reacting automatically to responding with intention, moving from survival mode to a state of success. You can't always control what your brain feels, but you can always choose what your mind focuses on. That focus creates direction. Direction builds discipline. And discipline is what ultimately shapes your destiny. Every great comeback story begins not with a display of strength, but with a moment of awareness. The awareness that your brain follows the lead of your mind. When you finally master this connection, you stop fearing failure. Instead, you begin to shape it into feedback, into fuel for your growth. Now that you understand how the mind and brain work together, you're ready for the most important part, learning how to reprogram them for success. Because knowledge without transformation is just information. In the next section, we'll explore the step-by-step process to rebuild your mindset, rewire your thoughts, and rise again stronger than ever before. You've learned how fear paralyzes the mind. You've seen how emotion traps you in cycles of doubt. And you've felt how your brain simply obeys what your mind believes. Now comes the real transformation, reprogramming your mind for success. This isn't magic, it's a method. It's science turned into habit, and habit turned into personal power. Your brain, this incredible biological computer, rewires itself through repetition. And your mind, the software running on that hardware, reshapes itself through meaning. Every word you repeat, every thought you consciously nurture, is a command being written directly into your neural code. So how do we begin this upgrade? Step 1 is awareness. You have to catch the thought. Before you can change a program, you must see it running. The next time you face a setback or a failure, just stop and listen. What is the very first sentence your mind speaks to you? Is it, "I knew this would happen"? Or maybe, "I'm just not good enough"? That thought, right there, is the script you've been unknowingly rehearsing for years. Grab a pen and write it down. Don't judge it. Don't fight it. Just expose it. Awareness is like pulling darkness into the light. And anything you bring into the light begins to lose its power over you. Step 2 is to interrupt the pattern. Your brain is a creature of habit. It loves routine, even painful ones. To rewire it, you must deliberately interrupt its old ways. The moment that voice of fear and self-doubt starts speaking, do something physical. Stand up. Take a deep, slow breath. Try this. Count down from 5, out loud. 5, 4, 3, 2. What? This simple action shifts your physical and mental state. It breaks the emotional circuit and sends a new signal to your brain, one that says we are not in danger. We are in control. We are deciding. Each time you do this, you weaken the old automatic wiring. And each conscious interruption strengthens a new, more deliberate one. Step 3. Replace the belief. Nature hates a vacuum, and so does the brain. Once you've stopped the old negative thought, you must immediately fill that space with a new one. I'm not talking about empty, think positive fluff. I'm talking about truth-based affirmations. Something like, "I failed, but that means I'm learning." Or, "I'm feeling scared, but that means I'm growing." Or my personal favorite, "I'm not done yet." And here's a critical detail. Say it out loud. Your subconscious mind learns through sound and emotion. When you attach a genuine feeling to this new belief, your neurons start firing in a new sequence. Your mind begins recording a brand new script. This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about telling yourself a more empowering truth. Step 4 is repetition and reinforcement. The secret to lasting change is not intensity. It's consistency. Your brain rewires itself through repetition. Just like walking the same path in a forest eventually creates a clear trail. Every morning before you do anything else, repeat your new belief. Every night before you sleep, visualize it as if it's already true. Now, visualization isn't some fantasy game, it's mental rehearsal. Neuroscience shows us that the brain activates the exact same regions, whether you're actually doing something or just vividly imagining it. So imagine your success, feel it, see it daily, until your mind stops calling it fiction and starts accepting it as a future reality. Over time, those old neural pathways of doubt and fear will fade away like unused roads, and the new ones will become highways of confidence. Step 5. Expose yourself to growth pain. Real, meaningful change doesn't happen in your comfort zone. You must choose controlled discomforts, small, manageable challenges that stretch your limits just a little bit. Speak up in a meeting when you're afraid. Try again after a rejection. Finish that project you started even when it gets hard. Every single time you face a moment of struggle and push through, you send a powerful message to your brain. We survive, adapt, we rise. This process triggers something called hormesis, the biological principle that says stress, in small, managed doses, actually makes you stronger. When you face it with purpose, it becomes power. This brings us to our final step, step 6. Anchor gratitude and purpose. Fear rewires your brain through threat. Success, on the other hand, rewires it through gratitude. At the end of each day, take just 2 minutes to remember 3 things you handled well. They can be tiny victories, or maybe you didn't procrastinate, or you handled a difficult conversation with grace. This simple practice releases dopamine and oxytocin, teaching your brain that effort brings reward. Then reconnect with your purpose. Ask yourself, why do I want to grow? What is this all for? Clear why will outlast every how. A strong purpose turns discipline from something that feels like punishment into an act of devotion. So what does the reprogrammed mind look like? It doesn't avoid failure. It analyzes it for data. It doesn't deny pain. It transforms it into fuel. This kind of mind understands that success is not the absence of failure, but the complete mastery of your response to it. You are not at war with your brain. You are its commander. And every small act of courage you take is a new instruction, a new update to your internal software. One day you will look back at your hardest moments, and you'll realize they were never punishments. They were training grounds. The fear that once stopped you will have become the signal that guided you. The pain that once felt like it broke you will have become the very strength that built you. Failure was never the end. It was the beginning of awareness. Awareness became choice. Choice became change. And that change became freedom. Your mind was not made to destroy you. It was made to be discovered by you. So rise again. Not because the world believes in you, but because finally your own mind does. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content on mastering your mind. We'll see you in the next one.